Temporarily off the market. This is a status that's misused pretty regularly. So let's talk about some of the requirements, some scenarios where temporarily off the market would apply to our listing. First off, let's talk about when a listing should be changed to temporarily off the market. The MLS rules state that if a listing cannot be shown for 3 consecutive days or more, the status should be updated to temporarily off the market. And what this does is it protects you, it protects your seller, it protects any cooperating brokers or agents. It also ensures the accuracy of market data, and it prevents buyer agents from scheduling appointments for properties that are really not available. Okay, so let's talk about a little bit about when this applies and when it does not apply, this temporarily off the market. If your listing has received an acceptable offer and the seller has requested no additional showings, that status should be changed to temporarily off the market. Even if the seller is considering backup offers, the moment showings stop, temporarily off the market status is required. Now, there's a caveat to this. Of course, if you change your listing to pending, okay, that's a completely acceptable status as well. But really, when temporarily off the market is required is whenever showings are suspended for 3 or more days for any reason. Okay, so this could include, but not limited to, tenant restrictions or renovations, repairs, illnesses, travel, seller-directed pause in access, holidays, something like that. The main point here is that if showings cannot occur, the listing may not remain active. Now, there are some exceptions here. Okay, so some exceptions where the temporarily off the market status does not apply. And if our listing meets any of these requirements or these statuses, it should be updated accordingly within 24 hours as well. So if we have a fully executed contract with contingencies in place, and our seller instructs us not to have any more showings on that property, well, we can also update that listing to pending. Okay. If it's sold, we can update that listing to sold. That would be where the transaction is closed. If our seller determines that they do not wish to sell their property anymore and we go ahead and cancel that listing contract, our status should be updated to canceled. And that would be where the listing agreement is terminated, of course. Now, if our seller says, you know what, I don't want to sell my home anymore, but let's go ahead and keep this listing contract in place, we can withdraw that property. And that would be where the sellers remove the property from the market. So as a reminder, let's make sure we update our status accordingly. If our status is temporarily off the market or any of these other statuses, we do have 24 hours to update that status. Let's take a look at correcting any violations that may occur. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we want to take a look at the seller instructions. What has our seller told us to do? What have they indicated they want to do? And ideally, we would have these instructions in writing. So first, we want to assess whether our listing is truly available for showings. If the property cannot be shown for 3 days or more, you must take action within 24 hours. So you would log into MLS, into OneKey, into Matrix, update that listing status to temporarily off the market if that is the most appropriate status for that listing. Okay? This update must be made as soon as a showing restriction is known. If temporarily off the market does not apply to that listing, we can also choose the correct alternative status, whether it's pending, sold, canceled, withdrawn, and that's to ensure that we have market reliability, our data is accurate, and we also want to make sure that we keep any required documentation that our sellers have instructed us to do. Now, accuracy status updates, it protects the integrity of OneKey MLS data, of course. It also ensures fair market representation. It protects you. It protects your buyers. It saves time and effort on your sellers. It saves time and effort on your buyer's side as well. So we know that timely updates demonstrate professionalism. It's respect for cooperating brokers and agents. And it also prevents any unnecessary penalties on your side. So taking a look at some compliance details, okay? A key point to this is when this timeline starts. When do the 3 days start? Day 1 begins the moment your listing is entered into that MLS, into OneKey MLS. Okay, so if we count 3 consecutive days from that entry date, that will determine when temporarily off the market becomes mandatory, or if showings are not allowed. Under Section 11 of MLS rules, this temporarily off the market violations do result in an automatic fine. There is no warning period for this. Compliance is required immediately. when a listing becomes unavailable for showings. Okay. If you'd like to take a look at this full description, please feel free. The requirements are in the MLS Rules and Procedures Section 404.3. If you'd like to take a look, you can head over to our knowledge base and search for MLS Rules and Procedures. And what we want to remember as a whole is that maintaining accurate listing status isn't just a rule. It's a professional responsibility that protects buyers, sellers. It also protects the integrity of the entire MLS community.